Mortuary College. Let's talk about that today.
Are you ready for true tales from a real undertaker? Everything from strange situations to crazy paranormal experiences. For over 20 years, Mark Tofson was a funeral director and embalmer working everywhere from California to Japan. Get set to hear about his hauntingly crazy adventures.
Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. You couldn't get rid of me that easily. I'm back again like a bad hangover. Anyways, I have another story for you. Basically, it's about me going to Mortuary College. Uh, I went to Mortuary College in Cypress, California, Cypress College. At the time, it was one of only several mortuary schools in the nation. At that time, you had maybe, I think, eight of them. And there was one in Arizona that actually had a correspondence course, which was very strange. And actually, my friend was the only person to ever pass that and get his license. Of course, it was only good in the state of Arizona, but it was better than a lot of the people working in Arizona because most of them were lifelong apprentices. And luckily, Arizona changed that law to where you had to become a licensed embalmer after a certain time. Uh, so to begin with, I went to college in Tucson, Arizona, Pima College. Uh, I went there for 2 years. Should have got a associates in general studies. As soon as I finished my classes, I moved to California to be with my family, also to get into the acting business a little more. When I moved, I found out that one of the classes that my advisor told me I did not need to take was actually required. So I am missing one class to get my associates. Um, Now, I didn't want to go back to Arizona just to take one class. You couldn't do it online back then, of course. But the good thing is that a lot of my prerequisites were covered by these classes I did take. So when I went to Cypress, I didn't have to take a lot of these extra classes that a lot of other people had to take. I enrolled, and it was a strange bunch of people that I went to school with. But of course, being in the funeral business, you have to expect that. Uh, I became friends with one very young man. He was 18 at the time. I think I might have been about 23, 20, 22. But he looked like he was about 14, and he was into rockabilly real big. So he had the tattooed arms. He was kind of small, had tattooed arms with the skulls and the hot rods and the eight balls. And he had red hair, but he dyed it black. Uh, he was a really nice guy. He was into Christina Applegate real big. So one time I found out that she was doing a private event, and I told him about it because he really wanted to meet her. And he went over there, and I told him how to get past security so he could get in to meet her. And what he did, he came back and told me, "Hey, anything you want or need, I'm available." Uh, After that, I was kind of God to him. Uh, so one day he tells me, "Okay, well, there's this really nice girl that I know. You should meet her, and I think you like her." And well, I was newly single, uh, so I knew the girl, and she's a very pretty girl from New Mexico. And I thought, hey, this is great. So I told him to go ahead and have me meet her. Well, her name was Michelle. Like I said, she's from New Mexico, and at first she seemed very normal and nice, and she was really into music. So, being in Orange County, there was a lot of clubs, and you could go to LA too, of course. But the thing is that she knew a student that was in a band at Cypress, and she introduced me to her. And of course, This student was Gwen Stefani of No Doubt, and they were just starting out, I guess. So she actually had me go with her to one of their shows when they were first starting. Uh, I thought everything was going good with her. Uh, didn't know where she lived. She didn't tell me where she lived, but one day she asked me if I could give her a ride home. Well, yeah, why not? Sure, love to. Uh, she got in my car. We started driving out of the parking lot of the college, and basically, I just made a left, and her apartments are right there where we could have just walked to them. I think I had more trouble finding parking than it would have been just to walk there. She invited me in, uh, gave me a beer. We were talking, and then next thing I know, she starts showing me her tattoo. Well, I'm really not into tattoos. Uh, if you ever seen a person that has a tattoo that's old, you can understand why. Uh, but she's telling me all these things about her tattoo and why it was so meaningful. Well, part of the meaningful parts were really weird. Like she was telling me that these Vietnam vets kidnapped her and got her hooked on heroin and kept her in a basement. Uh, Other things she was talking about were UFOs. You know, they had a base in the mountains above Albuquerque and just really strange things. And I thought, oh boy, I better get away from this quick. So yeah, I just kind of finished the beer and said, well, I got to go to work. And after that, I kind of let it die down. I didn't really pursue it too much. Um, there was also another student. His name was Juan. Uh, Now Juan was a gangbanger. I mean, he was a big time LA gangbanger, and he'd been in shootings and done all kinds of things, but he wanted to be a funeral director. Uh, so I remember Juan telling me once about never buy a nickel plated pistol because the cops can find it when you throw it out the window. Uh, I later found out from another student that I ended up working with in Arizona that Juan was killed by the police. Uh, he was doing gang stuff, of course. It's pretty sad. He seemed like a nice guy. Uh, so we had quite a few strange people there, but they were fun. Uh, Now they kind of have all kinds of classes you take. You take everything from chemistry to mortuary science to funeral directing to you actually have embalming classes. We used to have they would get bodies from the morgue that had been sitting there for like 6 months, and they would let us embalm them before they cremated them. Uh, if you can embalm a body that's been sitting for 6 months, you're pretty good. So we learned the hard way how to do things and taught us a lot. Um, One interesting thing was they had Don Sawyer, who was a famous embalmer at the time, come down and talk to us, and he showed us how to do an embalming. And he was using his machine. Well, his machine was famous. I don't know if people still buy it, but Dodge Chemical Company used to sell it, and it was the best machine on the market at the time, and I'm pretty sure it still is. Uh, the other ones I used to use were not near as good. Um, I had to do accounting. Accounting, I'm not good at numbers. I'd never been really good with math. Luckily, my ex girlfriend at the time showed me how to do accounting because she had a major in it from Cal State Fullerton, which is like the best business college in the country. So I knew up and down how to do it, but the teacher was doing it backwards. And even though I'd come up with the correct answer, he would always give me like a D on the work because he said, "Well, I wasn't doing it the way he wanted to, which was backwards." And I really didn't understand why he wanted it backwards, but I always came up with the correct answer. And then I complained about him, and they wouldn't do anything. Well, when I ended up taking the national board test at the end, you can take this test where you're pretty much certified in every state for funeral service. Uh, he kind of made a joke about how I was going to fail the accounting part. Well, I ended up getting like a 93 on it, which was one of the highest in the class. So he was completely wrong. But yeah, for 2 years we did all the classes. We embalmed many bodies, and it was a good place to go. The rest of the staff, other than that accounting teacher, was really good. Uh, One thing that was really helpful was I learned chemistry there, and I later used that in Japan when we were formulating embalming fluid and chemicals in Japan, the first ever in Asia. So that helped me out a lot. And luckily over there, I had like probably the best chemist in, at least in Japan. He might have been the best in Asia or maybe even the world, helping me. So what we produced was really great. It was for Sun Chemical Company, and I have a picture of me holding the bottles of the fluid we produced. Um, so nowadays, I guess there's more places you can go. I understand a lot of the classes you could take online. I do understand the part about the embalming not really being necessary for the class because most of that you learn in uh, while you're doing it. And hopefully, when you're learning while you're doing it, you have someone good to train you because I really didn't get much training where I worked at. They just kind of threw me in and made me do all the stuff. So they were okay, but I don't think they were good until later I found out, what really good embalming was about. But if you ever decide you want to go into the funeral business, I highly recommend Cypress College. Uh, and they also got some great things to do around there. You got Disneyland and all that, and some great restaurants. So I recommend that you guys go there if you do decide. So that ends this week's story. Uh, I hope you'll share this and like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And I will be back again next week with something different to tell you about. But until then, I hope you have a great week and I'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.
Please like, share, and subscribe.